everybody wants to know, Plan C.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Plan A, an amnesty for DACA recipients, an amnesty for agricultural workers, for essential workers, and people who are in TPS. It was shot down by the parliamentarian because she had ruled that putting this new rules or new laws in the budget was not a budget maneuver, but actually an end around to making new immigration laws. So then the Democrats came up with Plan B. We're not going to make new immigration laws. We're just going to amend existing immigration laws. Change the registry date from 1972 to some date, whether it was 2010, 15, or 20. News reports said it was going to be January 1st, 2010, as well as extend Section 245I, which allows people to pay a penalty fee and get their green card here. So the Democrats' argument to the parliamentarian was, these are not new immigration laws. We're just changing existing laws, a date on existing laws to raise revenue. And therefore, it should be part of the budget. And this parliamentarian said, no way. It's still going to legalize tens of millions of immigrants. And that is a new law, a substantial new law. And the parliamentarian ruled against it. So now the issue becomes, do they overrule the parliamentarian and just put either Plan A or Plan B into the budget and then have the Republicans argue that it should not be in the budget, then put up the vote to the Democrats, to the full Senate, and then obviously the Democrats would win that vote on appeal, meaning that Kamala Harris would be the 51st vote. So if all 50 Democrats say it should be part of the budget, it would get included. Problem is that some Democrats don't want to vote for anything as part of the budget reconciliation unless the parliamentarian blesses that. For example, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin does not want to vote for anything to be put in to the budget reconciliation unless the parliamentarian says so. So now we have Plan C. Plan C is Democrats say, well, we're not going to give green cards to anybody. So we're not changing any laws now as part of Plan C. All we are going to do is put in the law that anybody who was here since January 1st, 2010 can get some sort of parole, deferred action, kind of like being put in the same situation as members of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, perhaps. It's a little different, TPS, Temporary Protected Status, but all basically giving work permits to people who've been here by a certain date. And that work permit would also be a dual combo card to allow you to travel home and back. It would give you the benefits of having a green card without having a green card. It would legalize you, give you some sort of status here in America short of having a green card. It would kind of more like status under color of law. So it would legalize you but not give you a green card. And the Democrats say, well, we can do that because parole is an existing law and we're not legalizing or giving green cards to anybody.
Is that what makes the difference of changing the registry date? Because if you change
registry
that,
date would be a green card.
Green cards.
Right,
so,
right.
Okay.
So basically they're now changing parole dates or going to put in a new law that says we'll give anybody parole who's been here since January 1st, 2010 or 2011 or whatever date they pick, but it's either going to be 2010 or 2011. And that would cement into law every person who's part of DACA so that if a new president comes in, for example, a pumpkin can't now make an executive order saying no more DACA and we're going to deport you all. Because now this is no longer an executive order. This is not a program from an executive order by a president. This is a law made by a Congress that was signed into law by a president of the United States. So therefore, the only way to overrule that law would be for a future Congress and a future president to make a new law scrapping the existing parole law. Okay. So it would at least, number one, for DACA recipients, give them some form of security that in the future they would not be subject to deportation and they would not be subject to a crazy pumpkin in the White House or somebody related to a pumpkin in the White House that would strip them of their DACA rights. Yeah, like Blonde Pumpkin. Who knows who's going to run out of that family, in the future. And also, it would give others as well. Remember, President Obama wanted to do the DAPA program, Deferred Action for Parent Arrivals, and that was struck down by the Supreme Court. But everybody who would have been eligible for the DAPA program would be eligible for this parole program, because whether you were DACA or DAPA, you had to be here as of June 15th, 2007. Now they're going to make it 2010, 2011, probably include more people. But it's not just going to be for children, it'll be for anybody who was physically here. Better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Better than
so
nothing.
That doesn't have to be...
But it's not going to be a green card. But at least if you say, does that make people's lives better? Well, yeah, it makes people's lives better in two ways. One is it gives more security to people in the DACA program, that they're not going to be subject to deportation in the future or the whim of a crazy person in the White House who's going to strip them of their rights, because we now have a law. And number two, it'll give other people who did not come here as children but who have been here for long stretches of time also an opportunity to at least work legally, be legal in the United States indefinitely, travel home and come back. Again, not a green card, doesn't turn into citizenship, but at least it's something that would be permanent for you. And then perhaps in the future Congresses, future presidents, politicians come in and come out, perhaps over time, because people in this program will have been here for such long periods of time that they would be cemented here and eventually something in the future. Same as people in TPS. If you have TPS is designated by the President of the United States of America. So Haitians and others who have TPS, they can have their TPS stripped by a president at his whim, or her whim if we end up having a female president. Now, if you have been here before 2010, 2011, and this parole program, the Plan C, passes, then at that point, I would advise you to switch if you qualify from TPS to the parole, because that is a certainty to stay here for your life if you choose to. The idea that a future Congress and a future president will make a new law saying this parole doesn't exist anymore, that's very hard to do. Much easier for a president just to strip something out of an executive order. So that's the Plan C. I actually like going back to Plan A and B and just put it in the reconciliation anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. So now we got Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, based on what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and what's coming out of the White House are saying is that they would like to have this reconciled for a final reconciliation by October 31st. That's what they're shooting for now. So we will see what happens on that. That's their latest idea. What do you think, Vanessa?
There's just so many things changing that
just every day, right?
that's how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out.
Right.
I don't know.
So isn't that kind of like a Plan D?
This is Plan C.
Well, wasn't Plan C to just change the registry date?
No, that was Plan B.
That was Plan B?
Yeah. To me, Plan C was, well, we're going to put it in there anyway. We don't care what the parliamentarian says.
Right. That's what I meant.
But that was not really a plan. That was more of a procedure. This is now a new plan that they're bringing back to the parliamentarian. This is what the politicians in Washington are saying now is Plan C.
Okay. Well.
Parole, which is some sort of quasi-legal status, work permit, travel, but not a green card. And again, you have to show you were here by a certain date. Dozens of immigration advocates walked out of a Zoom meeting with the White House. Advocates asked for time before the beginning of the meeting. The meeting was with several top officials of the Biden administration, including the head of the Department of Homeland Security. They asked for time before the beginning of a video meeting Saturday morning with several Biden officials, including the Department of Homeland Security chief and White House Domestic Policy Counsel's Esther Olivaria. Now, the activists read a statement accusing the administration of playing politics with human lives. They said they could no longer come into these conversations in good conscience. We have sadly reached a turning point. And they then had a walkout on the Zoom call. So they set up this meeting with the White House and they pre-planned a walkout. And they did it obviously for publicity, because if they had a Zoom meeting, we wouldn't be talking about it. It's nothing very exciting about some activist had a Zoom meeting with some people at the White House.
Right.
But it becomes now newsworthy when activists stage a walkout on
true.
a Zoom meeting. And if the idea is to bring attention to the plight of immigration and they're an activist, well, then that's the way to do it. You got to do something for publicity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. In order to get talked about.
Yeah. The advocate said that the Remain in Mexico policy is now put back into place by court order, is an extension of the Trump administration policy. They are very upset that the Biden administration has not done anything to cancel it. Now, the Biden administration said they did try to cancel it, but the courts reinstated it. The activists said they don't buy it. Louise Guerrera, a 32-year-old strategic capacity officer at the Catholic Legal Immigration Network, who walked out of the meeting on Saturday, said, "I think they're afraid of the backlash of anti-immigrant groups and will continue to remind them that the backlash will exist regardless of what they do. We don't actually believe they're doing anything within their power to actually restore asylum at the border the way they say they're trying to do." I agree with that, not only with asylum at the border, but with everything the Biden administration is doing. They talk a lot, big talk. Immigration Act of 2021, but the reality is we have not seen a lot of substantial changes on the ground.
Yeah.
We've seen positive changes. I don't want to say we haven't, but not to the extent that Biden campaigned on. And sad news today, I woke up this morning, and as everybody did, to find out that our first black Secretary of State, Colin Powell, died of COVID-related complications at Walter Reed National Medical Center. He was 84 years old. He had Parkinson's disease. He had myeloma, which is a blood cancer, and the myeloma actually reduces your ability to fight off infections. He was vaccinated, but did not get the booster shot. The Powell family wrote on Facebook that General Colin Powell, the former U.S. Secretary of State and chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, passed away this morning due to complications from COVID. We have lost a remarkable and loving husband, father, grandfather, and great American. He was born in the Bronx to Jamaican immigrants, first-generation American, born in the United States. He joined the military. At the time when he became Secretary of State under George W. Bush II, he was fourth in line to become President of the United States as a Secretary of State. Number one, obviously, the President, Vice President, then the Speaker of the House, then the Secretary of State. And at that time, he was, obviously, before Barack Obama, the highest ranking black government official, the closest black government official to the presidency at that point in time before Barack Obama. He became extraordinarily well known during the first Persian Gulf War, and he had a war policy, shock and awe, that we overwhelm them with power and overwhelming force. And if we don't go in with overwhelming force, we don't go to war. And that was his theories. I'm oversimplifying it, obviously. I'm not a military historian, but that was basically it. You know, we just shock and awe, we overwhelmed the enemy, and that's what they did in the first war. The whole war was over, I think, in less than 14 days. And Colin Powell was part of the team that decided not to go into Iraq and go after Saddam Hussein during the first war. And the reason is because also, as part of his military thinking, is that there should be a win. And we did what we accomplished to do, which was to avoid Iraq invading Saudi Arabia and kick Iraq out of Kuwait. And they did what they wanted to do. They were about 50 miles that they could have went into Baghdad and got Saddam Hussein. They chose not to. Then that turned into the second Persian Gulf War after 9/11. There's one blight. His one blight on his record is as Secretary of State, he went to the United Nations to justify the Second Persian Gulf War and gave a big speech about weapons of mass destruction, which was given to go to war against Iraq in the Second Persian Gulf War. And apparently, as we know now through history, that either it was misinformation, whether he knew it was misinformation or not, we don't know. But after the Persian Gulf War, it was determined that Saddam Hussein did not have any weapons of mass destruction. In 2010, Powell told CNN's Larry King that his biggest regret now was that speech. And I'm quoting him. He said Powell had warned that Saddam Hussein had biological weapons and the capability to rapidly produce many more. The inspectors didn't find any. And he told Larry King in 2010, I regret it now because the information was wrong. I will always be seen as the one who made the case before the international community. But otherwise, an absolutely stellar career in public service, in the military.
For sure.
He thought of running for president in 1996. But not in 90, yes, in 96 against Bill Clinton, the second run of Bill Clinton. He thought of running as a Republican, but then decided he didn't want to get into politics. And as he got older and as the Republicans became much more conservative, he kind of switched over to the Democratic Party.
Right.
He endorsed Barack Obama for president, Hillary Clinton for president. And he looked at himself as not as a politician. He looked at himself as a problem solver, ultimately. And that's why he never ran for president, because he didn't want to be partisan.
Yeah.
He just wanted to just make decisions that were right.
Right.
Now, after Trump incited the deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, Powell told CNN he can no longer consider himself a Republican. He said, I'm just a citizen who has voted Republican, voted Democrat throughout my entire career, and right now I'm just watching my country and not concerned with parties. But he will be missed.
He will.
He was a good man.
Will. Yeah.
I never met him personally, but just publicly, he was a good man.
I mean, President Biden, describes him as a dear friend. So,
Right.
Everybody always had great words about him. And that's just such an American dream, coming from Jamaican parents, being born in the Bronx and just making history like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing life.
Legacy.
Now, during Powell's time in the military, which lasted until 1993, he received a number of awards, including the Bronze Star and 2 Purple Hearts. He became a 4-star general, and he became only the second African American to become a 4-star general, get at least 4 stars on his rank.
Wow.
In addition to the military awards, Powell also received the President's Citizens Medal, the Secretary of State Distinguished Service Medal, and the Secretary of Energy's Distinguished Service Medal, as well as the second Presidential Medal of Freedom, awarded with distinction from President Bill Clinton.
In my hometown, they even one of the most recent grammar schools that they created, they named it after him. So
wow, even when he was alive.
Yeah,
that's a nice honor.
Yeah.
That's a nice honor. When you're alive, you don't wait until the person passes to
Right.
name something after them.
Give them their flowers when they're alive.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think what Julie told me is that this desk here, she's gonna name it the Brad Bernstein desk. Gonna do it while I'm alive.
There we go. Give your flowers. Give
me
Uncle Brad his flowers.
That's right. I mean, I always think, I'm making a joke, but I think it's really nice to honor people when they're alive. When they're dead, they don't know they're getting honored.
Right.
So that's very nice that where'd they do this? Down in Florida? They named the school after him?
In Jersey?
In New Jersey. In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Yeah, that's gotta feel
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. And then this is trifling, more than trifling. 17 American and Canadian missionaries were kidnapped by gang members in Haiti. It's a group of 16 U.S. citizens and 1 Canadian citizen, including 5 men, 7 women, and 5 children. According to a source in Haiti security forces, the kidnapping is being attributed to the local gang members. The missionaries were traveling by vehicle Saturday to Tinian, north of the capital, Port-au-Prince, after visiting an orphanage in the Croix de Basque area. I'm pronouncing the French wrong, so I apologize. They were abducted along the route. Now, Dan Hooley, a former field director for Christian Aid Ministries in Haiti, said that all the kidnapped missionaries are believed to have been in one vehicle. I guess they were in a big bus, and that some were able to contact the organization's local director before they were taken, and that the kidnappers had already made contact with the organization. They are asking typically $20,000 a person.
Wow.
So 20,000 times 17. And you want to know what? I'm sure the kidnappers will get it, because they want people released. They don't want anyone to get killed. So unfortunately in Haiti, it pays to kidnap these days. And that's unfortunately what's going on. sadly.
That is horrible. And like
Sadly,
the
what's
fact
going
that
on.
they're missionaries, they went there to
help.
to help.
Right. And we have at least 10,000 Haitians at the border trying to
Yeah.
escape violence.
That doesn't help them.
And Biden is flying them all back to Haiti.
And
Yeah.
this doesn't help
This
their
doesn't help
case
at all.
as well.
Yeah. United States has reported more than 44.9 million confirmed coronavirus cases, 240 million cases worldwide, more than 4.9 million deaths. I think Colin Powell could be the highest. I can't think of another higher ranking, more important person
That passed.
that passed in U.S. government than Colin Powell.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, I can't think of somebody who is more important to the history of the United States so far that passed from COVID than Colin Powell. Maybe there is, but I can't think off the top of my head.
Same.
On Friday, the Food and Drug Administration Advisory Committee said that people who took the Johnson & Johnson shot could now get a booster. People like me. I took the Johnson & Johnson. 15 million people.
So since you took the Johnson & Johnson, are you going to get the booster shot for Johnson & Johnson or just go and get a Moderna or a Pfizer?
You can't get a Moderna
So
or
you can't?
Pfizer yet.
If you got the Johnson & Johnson?
If you're Johnson. Right now, all you can get is the Johnson shot. Now, if you get the Johnson shot, what they're saying is that really the Johnson shot should have been a 2-shot regimen from the beginning. And it was approved for 1 shot, but really should have been 2 shots. And if you get the second Johnson shot, which you should take more than 2 months after you get the first one. So really, anyone who takes the Johnson shot moving forward, it's going to be a 2-shot regimen, just like Pfizer and Moderna. But they're saying you get a 15% increase in antibodies from taking the Johnson & Johnson shot. They did a very, very small study that said if you took the Johnson shot and then took the Moderna shot next, you got an increase over 50% of antibodies. So that would be a much stronger response. The Food and Drug Administration, I believe, it just came out in the news right before we got on air. We'll see what happens. They are leaning towards allowing people to mix and match their shots for the booster. And that decision may come out next week, where if you took a Pfizer shot for 2, you can switch to a Moderna. You can do 3 Pfizer. You can do a Johnson and a Moderna, a Johnson and a Pfizer. So they may allow people to mix and match. And then at that point, it's going to be a decision what you want to do and talk to your doctor. I personally, I am waiting to see what happens with that. So I'm going to hold off on my booster shot. And I'll see what the FDA comes up with in the next week or 2.
They were doing that in some pharmacies, even with the vaccine. I found was really strange. Like there was almost a pharmacy that, if the person, they had set me up with a Pfizer and my first one was Moderna. And like if she hadn't read it over again, like I had said that I had wanted Moderna, but they only had Pfizer and they were ready to like mix up the vaccine, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with that, so I rather go to another pharmacy that just that would have been well, apparently it's okay, but at that time when you were taking it, nobody knew for sure. I mean, if it didn't turn out okay, that could have been malpractice on because right now at the moment, even today, Pfizer recipients are only authorized to get a Pfizer booster. Moderna recipients are only advised to get or legally get a Moderna booster. I can't even say it right. Booster. And Johnson & Johnson can only get a Johnson booster shot. And at least here in New York, you can't screw around with that because everything's electronic now. You have that electronic wallet that says, to walk into different establishments, you got to be able to show you have your booster shot or your COVID shots, whatever. So if you're not following what the rules are, it's likely not going to show up on your app.
Right.
So, it's going to screw you in the future. So you got to actually follow the rules. We have a winner. The winner of the Fat Bear contest. Bear, and in the battle, the bulkiest bear in Alaska, there's a new heavyweight. Bear 747 needs to move over because this year, 480 Otis was declared the winner of Fat Bear Week, an online competition that celebrates the bear's pre-hibernation weight gain from June to October. At more than 25 years old, Otis is one of the oldest bears in the park. It's the Katami National Park and Preserve in Alaska. It encompasses 4.1 million acres in southwest Alaska. It's home to about 2,200 brown bears. I was in Alaska. I came into contact with a bear.
Oh, yikes.
I walked away slowly.
Yikes.
Yes. He wasn't interested in me. He was just eating berries or she. I wouldn't know if it was,
That's
I don't know if it was
scary
a man bear or a woman bear. Maybe it was a baby bear, but it was still bigger than me. Who knows?
Right.
But it was just eating berries. wasn't interested in me. But I just slowly backed up.
Yeah.
I remember that. Now Otis is the 4-time champion, having won the inaugural contest in 2014, as well in 2016 and 2017. This year, Otis earned 51,230 votes in the final round to beat Bear 151 Walker's 44,834 votes. Nearly 800,000 votes were cast.
Wow.
That's like, you know what? These bears were getting more votes than Biden and Trump.
Sheesh.
I mean, almost a million people voted for the Bears.
That's a lot.
The Bears are getting a lot of votes.
They're getting a lot of love.
A lot of votes. I wonder if any of the Bears are contesting the election, saying that the tabulations were incorrect, the machines are incorrect.
Doubt it.
You doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, brown bears can add up to 4 pounds of weight a day. And as hibernation begins, the largest adult males can weigh more than 1,200 pounds. 4 pounds a day, that is a lot.
That is.
That's why when I saw the bear, it was late August. I guess it was fattening up.
Yeah.
So the bear's like, I'm not interested in Uncle Brad. I'm just eating. I gotta get fat.
Right.
Right. So congratulations
To Otis.
to Otis. Now, this is kind of funny. A couple was about to. This was in the newspaper. A couple was about to board a flight to Las Vegas. They found a stowaway in their luggage. It was their pet Chihuahua.
Oh my gosh.
They only realized it after they tried to put their bags on the plane and they got weighed and the bag was 5 or 6 pounds overweight.
Oh my gosh.
So the people, at the airport, who were checking the bags said you got to open your bags and take out 5 or 6 pounds. So they open the bag and boom, a Chihuahua pops out of their luggage.
Oh my gosh.
I guess their dog really wanted to go on vacation with them.
To Vegas.
To Vegas. Jared Owens told KCBD TV 11 about the shocking incident at the Southwest Airlines counter in Lubbock Airport, where he and his wife Christy were checking in. They put it on the scale and it was 5 pounds overweight.
That is funny.
Yeah, really quickly we were like, oh, we have to rearrange our stuff, open up, and boom. Out pops
thank God.
the dog. Can you imagine that dog went on? If the dog went under the plane, because under the plane it's not pressurized.
Oh,
So that a tiny dog like that in a suitcase,
and then probably like squished and
would not have made it. No,
yeah.
it wouldn't have made it. Wouldn't have been able to breathe. Because it's not pressurized.
That's scary.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the couple got very lucky when a Southwest employee named Kathy Cook offered to take care of the pooch while they continued on with their flight to Vegas.
What? They could have taken the doggy.
Yeah, why couldn't they take the dog on the plane?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, Jared told KCBD they got a heck of an employee in Kathy. She went above and beyond and never made us feel, they could have turned us in saying we were trying to smuggle a dog to Vegas or something. I don't know how to smuggle a dog to Vegas, but, they got the dog sitter for free.
Right.
So all's well that ends well, and the dog survived. When Steve Jenkins adopted his pet pig Esther, famously known as Esther the Wonder Pig on social media, he had no idea that this pig would change his life forever. Esther's adoption story began when a friend of Jenkins messaged him on Facebook asking if he was interested in adopting a mini pig. He didn't know quite what they were in for when he agreed. Now Jenkins and his partner Derek took her in and quickly became attached to the small piggy. Turns out there wasn't anything small about this piggy, Esther.
Yeah, right.
Her vet told Jenkins that she likely came from a commercial farm and is going to likely grow to more than 800 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Well,
God.
that's the mini pig.
That's the mini pig.
Damn.
And this pig is going to 800 pounds.
Yikes.
Yeah, the vet turned Esther around and showed me her little tail and said, nobody that breeds pigs for pets would ever cut off a pig's tail. At that point, we had her for a few weeks. We had fallen in love with her. We know we were keeping her. That's a good point to know. If you're ever going to actually get a pig, make sure the pig has a tail.
Okay.
That's good to know. I don't want a pig,
Yeah, I don't
but
either.
people like pigs these days.
I don't even like to look at it.
Yeah. Now Jenkins and Walter knew they couldn't care for Esther at their home if she was going to grow to 800 pounds. So to keep up with their growing pig,
Sheesh.
she's right now weighs 595.
Oh my
pounds.
gosh.
The couple decided to move to a farm where they could give Esther the space she needed. Even adopted other animals,
Aw.
and they started a fundraiser,
What?
and it raised $440,000 for them to go buy a farm and keep Esther, the pig, on the farm. Now, Vanessa, do you say that these people really love their pig, or what huge scam to get a free farm? What do you think? Scam to get a free farm, or these people really love their 600-pound pig?
I think they definitely really love the pig
Yeah?
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and he needs friends, not just the pig, but his friends.
All right. Well, Vanessa and Yo-Yo say no scam. They love the pig.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? This pig has over 1.5 million followers on Facebook. This big fatty.
Like, and it's verified
Yes.
on Instagram. Like,
This pig is verified. Jenkins hopes Esther and her social media startup inspires others to view all farm animals in a different light. He says, I like Esther. I feel like Esther's more human than other animal I've ever had the privilege of getting to know. We're just lucky to be able to spend time with Esther.
that's sweet.
And there it is, Esther, the 550-pound Wonder Pig. Canadian global news meteorologist Anthony Farnell and Storm the Weather Dog made a splash on social media last month when Farnell began outlining the weekend forecast before a small furry head appeared at the bottom of the screen. This looks like Groundhog Sam popping up on our show, right?
Right.
It was Storm, Farnell's dog, a mini Goldendoodle he has
Aw.
had for the past decade. Farnell is able to continue with his forecast
Look
as
at
Storm
that.
wanders around
That's
looking for
actually
treats.
hilarious.
It's live TV, so we just got to keep going. And when Farnell gets to the 7-day forecast, you see Storm gobbling up some tour treats he was
Yo.
given. His TV appearance delighted millions on TikTok. And
That's
even
actually
enthralled
funny.
a fellow four-legged viewer, Belle. Her humans posted a video of her excitedly watching her weather friend.
I actually love that. That's hilarious.
You know, that's very funny. I'm just looking on my iPad.
That is for
Yeah.
And you would have chose the other one. And
I
I
would've
actually
chose-
like this one.
Yeah,
I like this
all
one.
right, I take it back.
You're right.
I didn't know what I was gonna get
Look
with
at
the.
him.
I didn't know what I was gonna get with the pictures. I just saw the headline that dog walks on TV set. I'm like, yeah, but it was actually very cute.
Yeah, that is cute.
It was actually very
That's
cute.
a real fuzzy Monday.
That was a fuzzy.
That was fuzzy.
You're right, Vanessa. I
fuzzy.
take it back. Excellent pick. Bravo. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.